What if Abraham's greatest act of faith wasn't being willing to sacrifice Isaac, but finally refusing to solve God's problem for him? Because last time God's promise looked impossible, Abraham and Sarah created their own solution, Hagar. But this time, Abraham says 3 words: God will provide. Day 7 of reading the Bible chronologically was Genesis chapters 21 through 24, and it starts painful. Sarah wants Hagar and Ishmael gone because Ishmael will not share Isaac's inheritance. Abraham is deeply upset because Ishmael is still his son, but God tells him the covenant line will go through Isaac, and then immediately promises that Ishmael will become a nation too. So Hagar and Ishmael leave. Their water runs out. Hagar becomes convinced her son is going to die and moves away because she cannot bear to watch. Then Genesis says, God heard the voice of the lad. And that detail is incredible because Ishmael's name is connected to God hears. The boy named God hears cries in the wilderness, and God hears him. Then God opens Hagar's eyes. She sees a well. Ishmael lives. Now Genesis takes Abraham's other son to the edge of death. God tells Abraham to offer Isaac. And this creates an apparent contradiction. God already said the promise continues through Isaac. So if Isaac dies, how does Isaac have descendants? This is exactly the kind of situation Abraham used to panic and manufacture the answer. But listen to what he tells his servants. The lad and I will go yonder and worship, and we will come back to you. We. Then Isaac asks, we have the fire, we have the wood. Where is the lamb? And Abraham answers, God will provide. That might be Abraham's entire character arc. Years earlier, God promised, so Abraham tried to make it happen. Now, God promised. Abraham cannot understand how, and he leaves the answer with God. Abraham binds Isaac, raises the knife, and God stops him. Abraham looks up and sees a ram caught in the thicket. Genesis says the ram is offered instead of his son. Isaac lives. And suddenly the two sons mirror each other. Ishmael reaches the edge of death. God provides water. Isaac reaches the edge of death. God provides a substitute. Both sons live. Then Sarah dies. And here's something almost heartbreaking. God promised Abraham an entire land, but the first part of that land Abraham permanently owns is a grave. He buys a burial place for Sarah. Inside the land, his descendants are supposed to inherit. That is faith too. Sometimes you believe a promise you will not live long enough to see it completed. Then Isaac needs a wife. Abraham sends a servant to find one, but says something that shows how much he has changed. If the woman refuses to come, do not force it. And do not take Isaac backwards to the land Abraham was called out of. The servant is released from oath. That is completely different from Hagar. Earlier, we need this promise fulfilled, so make something happen. Now, God is in this. I don't need to violate what he already said, just to force the ending. Then Rebekah appears. The servant asks her for water. She gives him water, and volunteers to water 10 camels too. It reveals generosity, initiative, and character. And when her family asks, will you go with this man? Rebekah answers, I will go. So after 7 days of Genesis, maybe this is where Abraham finally arrives. Faith is not doing nothing. Faith is doing what God has made clear, without forcing what he hasn't. Humanity has spent Genesis grasping, taking, controlling, manufacturing. Abraham finally reaches the mountain, opens his hand, and says, God will provide. And that is a question I am carrying into week 2. Can we trust God enough to stop grasping? If you want the full reflection, I write through each day's reading in much more depth on my Substack.